Welcome back, Pouring Nation. A couple weeks ago I did a video about me using Flood Penetrol, a drop of Flood Penetrol in 20 grams of paint to create these amazing swipes. Here's an example here of the swipes that created. And one of the big questions that I got from a lot of you was, can you do the Sheleeart Blooms with that? So we are going to test that out. Now I have done a ton of tests. I always test like this, especially for a technique like the Sheleeart Blooms, where I'm doing lots of little iterations and little changes to see how it's going to affect the results. So what I've done here is I have made a mixture with 4 parts of Behr 8300 and 1 part of Rust-Oleium triple thick polyurethane. I had tried this with polyacrylic, but I did not like how that looked with the paints. So again, it's 4 parts Behr Deep Base 8300 and then 1 part Rust-Oleium triple thick polyurethane. Then it's mixed with these paints. Mix 1 part paint to 4 parts of the pouring medium. The Sheleeart Metallic. And this is the Deep Sapphire, the Behr Studio Acrylics Metallic, Rich Iridescent Gold or Oro. And then I use this mica powder that I've done a video on before, which I'll link in the description below. I didn't like how dark it looked, so I added a little bit, like less than a fingernail full of this red, just to kind of brighten it up. Now all of these are very thick at 4 parts. I didn't add any water or anything, so they'd be thick on my scale, which is important. And then what we're going to do is test 3 different cell activators. All of these are made with the Amsterdam titanium white. The first one is just 4 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. The second one is 9 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint, which a lot of people are really successful with. And then the last one is 4 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint, and then 1 drop of Penetrol. There's about 15-20 grams total of paint here, so there's just 1 drop of Penetrol in that. And we're going to try them all and see how it goes. All right, so we're just using 4x4 tiles from Lowe's that I bought. I bought them in a huge pack. They were dirt cheap with that. And then we're using the Color Place Classic Interior Paint White Satin just because it's cheap. And I have used this before. And if you haven't already, I highly recommend going through the Sheleeart Blooms course. It is a great course, a great community you get invited to learn how to do this. And a lot of the tips and tricks that I got from this were from that. I do have a discount code to get a small discount there. And I'll link that in the description below also. So I got my base paint. And I think I decided I liked how the gold looked first. Then the red. And the blue. And after this one, I'm going to speed up the rest, but I'll use the same gold, red, blue. So the first thing we're going to do is Floetrol and 4 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint, and that's it. Nothing else. Now, one thing I will tell you that I learned doing all these tests is how you blow makes a huge difference in how well the blooms come out. Now, this is a test that I did. Now, it's just on wax paper, so it's all funky, but how I did those blows made a big difference on how this looked. So we're just going to blow in a little bit. And then as we're coming up, we're going to blow a little bit harder. All right, so now we're back and we're going to do the same. We're going to do the same thing for 9:1. And if I use more colors here, I would get the more color saturated that you see a lot of other artists do. I'm just doing a test here, so I didn't want to make a ton of paint up. And I'll be honest there, my blowing skills were horrible. And I don't think this is going to give the proper representation, although I do like how it looks. How some of those cells came out. I don't think it gives the proper representation. So we're going to start again. Like I mentioned before, the blowing, honestly, is one of the most important things you can learn how to do. All right, so the last one we're gonna do, I might do one more experiment, we'll see here. And last but not least, the 4:1 with Penetrol. All right, let's get a close-up. So this is the 4 parts Floetrol to 1 part Amsterdam. This is the 9 parts Floetrol to 1 part Amsterdam. This is the 4 parts Floetrol to 1 part Amsterdam with 1 drop of Penetrol. And this is the 9 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint and a drop of Penetrol. The white area, especially in the middle, with 4 parts to 1, seems to be, because it's a little bit thicker, I think that's why it stays that way. The cells on the outside seem to do well with the 9 parts to 1. I got different colored cells. My blowing technique, obviously from here and here, is not the greatest. I need to work on that. Now this one, I got the cells on the outside. I got the multicolor cells. I actually really like how the color, especially like right here, it has a little halo around them. And then the 9 parts where I did get cells, looks pretty good. So overall, will this work with the, I'm going to concentrate on these two. Will this work with Floetrol? Absolutely. Yes, the cells keep their shape. I have had a couple of these dry and the cells dry just like you see here. Is it a big difference, 9 parts paint to 1 part Floetrol to the 4 parts paint, 1 part Floetrol with some Penetrol? Depends on the colors and how well you blow. So, yes, I would give it a thumbs up. I think it would help, especially those that are having troubles with their Sheleeart Blooms. And I definitely think that if you want to do a swipe, this is by far the way to go. And this is the video you want to watch next about how to swipe with Penetrol.